As you know, tomorrow we do have a quiz. It's going to be over sections 4.1 to 4.3. So the notes we take today are going to help us to feel prepared for our quiz that's tomorrow. The first section asks us to describe the inverse operation of the following values. Before we move on, can anyone raise your hand and tell me what this keyword inverse means? Nehemiah, what's it mean? Opposite. I want everybody to go ahead and write that down in your notes up at the top, just like I've done. Inverse means opposite. So now what we're going to do is we are going to try to figure out what some of these inverse operations are or what some of these opposite operations are. So first one, Alexis, subtracting 15. What's the opposite of subtracting by 15? Adding by 15. Going to the right, what is the opposite of adding by 8? Nikki? Subtracting by 8. Now this next one, I want you to actually add something into here. I want you to put in the original problem multiplying by negative 10. Okay, everybody go ahead right there. I want you to put in a negative 10 because I didn't do a negative example. So who can explain to me what the inverse operation of multiplying by negative 10 would be? Janet? Dividing by a negative 10. Good job. So the main thing I want you to know is if it has a negative 10 here, your goal to get rid of it, you have to do the opposite by negative 10. And the final one, Ayana, what is the opposite of dividing by 6? Multiplying by 6 is correct. First part says to solve the equation, then check your solution. Who feels comfortable and confident would like to help me with problem A? William. Identify the variable. What is not allowing x to be alone? Okay, now let's tell me whether it's add by, subtract by, multiply by, or divide by.
So you're subtracting by -2.
Okay, good job. Since I have add by 2, we got to do the opposite, which is subtract by 2. Go ahead and keep going.
And we, what we do to one side, we do to the other. So
Very good. We're going to be fair to both sides.
You subtract 12 by 2, so that's 10. And that means x equals 10.
That is correct. Okay, so everybody go ahead and box in that answer. Now, it has asked us to check the solution. William, remind me, how do I check this?
Okay, so what we do is equals 12.
Okay, very good, because all you have to do is you just take that original problem, you bring it down here, and rewrite it. So, notice he said to erase the x and instead replace it. We figured out what the x is right there, so we're just plugging that in to the original problem. Go ahead.
And if you add 10 plus 2, it equals 12. So 12 equals 12.
That is correct. All right, give yourself a mini check mark. Who would like to do the next one for us? This one has decimals, all right? Hunter, do it for me.
Okay, so we have 6. Then we need to be fair to the other side, so we also need to add 5.6.
That is correct.
And then drop down your y equals...
Okay, now in class, if we are practicing with a calculator, that means you are allowed to use that calculator on your quiz. So if you know how to do it with your head, do it with your head. If you need to use your calculator, go ahead. Hunter, what do you get?
12.8. Yep.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and check it. What should I do, Hunter?
So we need to put down y, and we need to do the exact same thing, but after we take, we'll take off the y because we know what that is, because that's 12.8, and then and since we're doing the exact same thing, 12.8 subtracted by 5.6 is 7.2, and 7.2 equals 7.2, and give yourself a check mark.
Excellent job, okay? So if they equal out, then you know you have done it correctly. Problem C, class. Identify the variable x. What is not allowing x to be by itself? What about 4/5? Which one of these words? Multiply by 4/5 is not allowing it to be alone. So we have to technically divide by 4/5, but in order to do that, remember we use our KFC operations. So what is the simple step that we remember we have to do when we're trying to get rid of a multiplied fraction? You flip it. You use the reciprocal. Nehemiah, what's my reciprocal? 5 over 4. And remember, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I multiplied by 5/4, which means over here I am also going to multiply by 5/4. Nehemiah, keep going.
Oh.
Okay, so these guys right here are going to cancel out. What are you left with on the left side? Just plain old x equals, is there anything that you can cross reduce on this side?
Yes.
What can you cross reduce?
The 4 and 8.
Okay, what do the 4 and 8 become?
The 8 becomes the 4 becomes a 1, the 8 becomes a 2.
Excellent. One thing I want you to always look for are negatives. How many negatives do you see right here?
1.
There's only one. Now it's become a -2. If I'm multiplying by one negative number, is my answer going to be positive or negative? It will be negative, okay? So now we've got -2 times 5. Nehemiah, what is -2 times 5?
-10.
-10 is correct. Now we've got to go back and double check our work. Remember, put down your equal sign so that everything's nice and neat, and we've got 4/5. And instead of multiplying times x, we know what x is. So what is x? Times -10. If it's helpful to you, you can also put that that's over 1, but you don't have to. Equals, what did the original problem tell us it's supposed to equal?
-8.
-8. So now let's work on the left-hand side. Can I cross-reduce anything?
Yes.
Which ones?
The 5 and the 10.
The 5 and 10 become
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Okay, class, what's 4 times -2?
-8.
-8, and then drop down your equal sign, equals -8. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes. Give yourself a mini check mark. Madison, help us with problem D. Identify your variable. Madison? M. What is not allowing M to be alone? What about the 5? Divide by 5. What's the opposite of divide by 5? Multiply by 5. Good job. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So now can you try to figure out what should I do? You're right. Those cancel out. That is correct. So 30 equals M. If you want to, you can keep it that way, or you can rewrite it where the the variable is first. Now, Madison, do you remember how to check it? Okay.
6 equals 30 over 5.
Okay.
And 6 equals 6.
That is correct. All right. It checks out. So remember, if it ever doesn't check out, you want to go back and see what did we do wrong. Okay, the variable is R for problem E. Good job. What's not allowing R to be alone? What about the -7? What does it mean whenever there's a number right next to a letter? Brody? Multiply. If it right there is multiply by -7, what is the opposite or the inverse operation? Okay, very good. So we're going to divide by whatever the exact number is here. Because there was a -7 there, we have to divide by a -7. And then we're going to do that to both sides. So remember, over here, -7 divided by -7 equals 1. So I'm left with 1R. And Harmony, what is 28 divided by -7? Okay, now remember, I have one negative there. Okay, so it's going to be a -4. All right, Harmony, go ahead and check it out for us. All right, -7R equals 28. Now, do we know what the R is? Double check. Look right here. You just put a box around it. What does R equal? -4. So I'm going to go ahead, get rid of this R, and let's put a -4. Now, class, is this how it should look right here? No. Why should it not look like -7 minus 4? Alexis? I need parentheses. Alexis, why do I need parentheses?
Because if it was, it would be -7 minus 4.
You're right. Anytime that it says right there -7R, that means -7 times R. So when we replace it, we want it to say -7 times -4. All right, so on the left side, class, two negatives. When I multiply them together, is it going to be a positive or a negative?
Positive.
It's going to be a positive because that's two negatives, which is even. And what's 7 times 4? 28. All right, so class, does 28 equal 28? That is correct. Give yourself a mini check mark. Janet, go ahead and help us with what to do. Go ahead. The first thing we're doing is we're trying to get rid of that positive 1/6, so we're going to subtract 1/6 from each side. And Janet, what is 2/6 minus 1/6? 1/6 equals W. And what happens to the 1/6 minus 1/6? It becomes a 0. It cancels out. All right, so we've got 1/6 equals W. Now, Janet, will you go ahead and plug it back in? Let's see if that's correct or not.
We gotta do 2/6 plus W plus 1/6. But then we gotta replace the W with the 1/6.
Good job, because we learned that W equals 1/6, so we're able to erase that W and instead plug in a 1/6. And Janet, what is 1/6 plus 1/6? 2/6 is correct, and they do equal each other, and it works out. Very good job. For number 3, it asks us to write the word sentence as an equation. So right here, you can see the very first part that we have, it says a number. Whenever it says a number, if it doesn't specify, you're allowed to put any variable in there that you want. So who wants to try to do this first one for me? Brody, what variable do you want to put in there?
Y.
All right, he wants to do a y. Now you're going to go and just keep going from the next ones. Then you'll see added. So Brody, what sign do we put there?
The plus sign.
The plus sign. And guess what number comes next?
2.
To 2. Then what? What does totals mean?
Plus. Times.
Does anyone want to help him out? What does totals mean? Cameron? It means equals. And what's the final one? 18. All right, so your equation, y plus 2 equals 18, means a number added to 2 totals 18. All right, let me have Nikki. A number minus 10 is 22. How do I write that as an equation?
Do I pick a thingy, right?
You can pick any number that you want to do, or any letter. All right, she wants to do Q. Once again, you guys can do any one you want. And then what do I do?
Put minus 10, and then put equals, and then 22.
Good job, because anytime you see that word is means equals. Excellent work. Who would like to do the final one for me? Cameron, a number divided by 6 equals 3.
C.
She's going to choose to do C for her number.
C divided.
Okay, and remember, anytime we have divided by, we're going to go ahead and do a fraction bar, because that means divided by.
C divided by 6 equals 3.
That is correct. All right, so is that pretty simple how to write those? Yeah. You're just reading from left to right. Remember that blue paper I gave you, the words into math? It'll help you to know and understand all those different words that you might need to know to fill this in and make equations out of them. For these problems, it says solve the 2-step equation. It's just like the 1-step, but remember there's going to be an extra step. Is there anyone who feels comfortable doing problem A? Let me have Taylor try it out for us, okay? First things first, identify the variable. N. What 2 things are not allowing N to be alone?
Add by 5 and add by 5 again.
Not add by 5 and add by 5. If you remember,
Multiply by 5.
you are correct. That's multiply by 5. So we've got to figure out which one of these to get rid of first. Which one should I get rid of first?
The 5 by
The add by 5, okay? Remember how we've talked about never move the number that is attached to the variable. They're like best friends. Leave them alone, okay? Then let's deal with the other number first and let those 2, the number and variable, stay together as long as they can, all right? So Taylor, what should I do?
subtract by 5.
Subtract by 5.
And what you do to one side, you have to do to the other.
Very good. What do you get?
You get 15, and then you cross out the 5 and the negative 5, and 5 and equals 20.
It doesn't equal 20.
Or equals 15.
Okay, because 20 minus 5 equals 15. Am I done?
No.
No, remember your goal is to get the variable alone. So Taylor, what should I do?
You divide 5, and in divided by 5 is 15 divided by 5, and then 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 5 divided by 5 is n, so n equals 3.
That is correct. Okay, now listen, this one did not tell you that you have to check, but you are always allowed to go back and check if you want. So you can see up here, 5 times n, we know 5 times n, which is 3. 5 times 3 is 15, and then you still got to add this 5. 15 plus 5 is 20, and that's exactly what it wanted to be. So you can mentally check it. If it doesn't tell you, you have to check, or you don't have to check at all. But double checking is, to me, always a good idea. Brody, problem B. 10y minus 6y equals 24. What should I do?
You should minus like 10y minus 6y.
Very good. As you can see over here, these are like terms because they're both in the y family. So Brody, what's 10y minus 6y? 4y, good job, because it's the y family, equals 24. What do I do now? Divide by 4 on both sides, and what do you get?
I get y equals 6.
Y equals 6 is the correct answer. Now, once again, remember, you can go back and check even if it doesn't make you. So let's just double check this. Class, what's 10 times 6? 60 minus, and then what is 6 times 6? 36. And then you can either put it in your calculator, you could do it on the side. But class, what is 60 minus 36?
24.
Equals 24, and that's exactly what we wanted to. So it did check out. Great job. All right. Once again, still a two-step equation. Javaria, which ones there are the best friends that we want to keep together as long as possible?
Divided by x, 3.
The x divided by 3. So you can put a crazy little heart right there to help us know. Keep it together as long as possible. So Javaria, what should I get rid of first so the x can be on the left side by itself?
Add by 1.
Okay, how do I get rid of plus 1?
Subtract by 1.
Subtract 1 on both sides, and what do you get?
You get x over 3 equals 2.
All right, very good. Am I done?
No.
How do I get rid of divide by 3?
You have to multiply by 3.
You are correct. What you do to one side,
You have to do it to
you have to be fair and do it to the other. What happens to 3 divided by 3 on the left side?
it cancels out.
It cancels out, and you're left with?
6.
Okay, x equals 6. All right, now, once again, if you wanted to go back and plug it in, this would become a 6. Class, what's 6 divided by 3? 2. And then what's plus 1? 3. And is that the answer we wanted? Yes. So once again, you can double check it if you want to, but you do not have to unless it tells you you have to. This next problem, there are 2 separate ways you can get rid of it, okay? So first thing you could do, we know that this guy right here is best friends. So now I have to get rid of minus 1/2. Class, how do I get rid of a minus 1/2?
You can put those into 8.
You add a half. Okay, so this right here will cancel out. What am I left with on the left side?
6.
X divided by 8 equals, now look over here. Do I have same sign or different sign? Different signs. Subtract the numbers and take the sign of the larger number. What's 7 halves?
Negative 6 over 2.
Okay, so it should have been negative 6 over 2. Am I done? No. Your whole goal, if you remember, is to get the variable by itself. What is not allowing that variable to be alone? 8. So you got to multiply by 8 in order to get rid of divide by 8. Okay, what happens to the left side, class? It cancels out. You drop down the x equals, is there anything that can cross reduce on the right side?
Yes.
The 2 and the 8 become what?
4 and 1.
4 and 1. Class, what's negative 6 times 4?
Negative 24.
Remember, it's a negative 24. Now, I want to remind you of a way that we did this yesterday. To the right side over there, I want you guys to go ahead and rewrite this problem so I can teach you another way. Remember, yesterday we talked about how to eliminate fractions. Because sometimes when people got to this part right here, they're like, I don't know what to do because it's a fraction, all right? So I'm going to teach you and remind you of what we talked about yesterday for how to get rid of fractions. Okay, out of all my denominators, guys, which one's the biggest one?
8.
The 8. Can the 2's fit into the 8?
Yes.
Yes, so our goal right now then to eliminate the fraction is just going to be to multiply by the largest denominator, which was 8. So I'm going to multiply every single term by an 8. Next up, just the girls. What happens to this right here? X times 8 divided by 8.
It cancels out and you bring the x down.
Just bring down the x. Next up, you're going to bring down the subtraction sign. Now we're going to look at this next section right here, just the boys. Can anything cross-reduce?
Yes.
What does it become?
1 and 4.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and make those instead a 1 and a 4. Okay, now when you multiply those out, boys, what do you get?
4.
You get just a plain old 4. Drop down your equal sign. Now we're going to come over here to this side and do this part. Can anything there cross-reduce?
Yes.
What?
2 and 8.
The 2 and 8 become
4 and 1.
a 4 and a 1. Now notice right here, I have a what?
Negative.
A negative sign. If I have one negative multiplied by a positive, the answer will always be?
Negative.
It's going to be a negative. Good job. So we're going to go ahead and just put our negative sign so we don't accidentally mess that up. And then, what would this be? Negative 7 times 4.
Negative 28.
Negative 28. Now, as you can see, x is not allowed to be alone because of a minus 4. How do I get rid of a minus 4? I got to add 4 to both sides to get rid of it. This cancels out and I'm left with x equals. Now let's look over here. Same sign or different sign?
Different sign.
Different signs. Subtract the numbers and take the sign of the larger number. What do you get?
Negative 24.
Negative 24. Is that the same thing we had before?
Yes.
So look, same way, or same answer, we just came up with it 2 separate ways. On your test, I do not care how you come up with the answer.
There we go.
Modeling real life. Tomorrow on your quiz and next week on your test, you'll have problems that look very similar to this. This is what it says. You have $25 in your bank account. You earn some money on the weekend selling lemonade and deposit it into your account. Then you go out and buy 4 bags of Takis for $9. Now you have $55 in your bank account. How much money did you earn selling lemonade? You must show an equation to represent the situation. So let's just start from the very beginning of our problem, class. Everybody, I want you to underline you have $25. So that's our basis where we're starting with. So we're going to go ahead and write $25. Now let's keep reading to see if we can figure out what else we might need to underline or put into our equation. It says you earn some money on the weekend selling lemonade and you deposit it into your account. Everybody draw a little squiggle line right here and where it says you earn some money. Guys, if you earn money, what do? You're going to add it because it's going to get bigger, okay? Do we know how much we earned?
No.
We don't know yet. So right now we're just going to go ahead and say M for money. You can make it anything, but we don't know what it is yet. Okay, now we're going to keep reading through our sentence to figure out what else we need to know. It says, then you go out and you buy 4 bags of Takis for $9. So, buy 4 bags of Takis for $9. Guys, what happens to that $9?
You multiply.
You subtract it, okay? Because I went to the store. Listen, if I go to the store and I spend money, if I multiplied it, it would be getting bigger, okay? So instead, I'm giving away money. That means I am subtracting $9. Now you have $55 in your bank account. Everybody circle the 55. That's what we end up with. So guess what I need to do? Equals $55. Then as I keep reading, it says, how much money did you earn selling lemonade? So my goal now is to figure out how much money I earned. Remember, the M stands for how much money we earned. So let's look at this. We've got a normal problem now. This is where it says you must show an equation to represent the situation. This down here is your equation that we just came up with. So now let's find the answer. Is there anything I can combine on the left side?
Yes.
What can I combine?
The constant.
The constants. Okay, I've got $25 and I have negative $9. Then this M is here all by itself. So class, what is $25 minus $9?
$14.
All right, positive $16. Then I also need to bring down plus M equals $55. Am I done? No. Madison, what should I do? Madison, what on this side is not allowing M to be alone? What about the 16? Okay, it says right there that I'm adding the 16. So in order to get rid of an add by 16, I have to subtract both sides by 16. Okay, once again, remember, you can do this right here on your paper, or you can put it in your calculator to double check your answer. But class, what is $55 minus $16? $39. So then I'm always going to go back and just double check what it asked me. It says, how much money did you earn selling lemonade? So the correct answer is $39 because you have to have units attached for every modeling real life scenario. Final problem of the day. The temperature at 6 a.m. is 25 degrees. The temperature rises 3 degrees every hour. What time will the temperature be 34 degrees? Once again, you must show an equation to represent the situation. So let's start with where we were. At 6 a.m., guys, what was the temperature? 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so we're starting with 25 degrees. Everybody just go ahead and circle that for me. 25 degrees up there at the top. Then it says the temperature rises 3 degrees Fahrenheit every hour. If something is rising, what sign do you think that is? We're going to add it because it's rising. Okay, how many degrees does it rise? 3. Is it 3 total? No. 3 per hour. So what do you think it means if it's 3 per hour? What do I have to do with that? Multiply 3 times. You could choose any variable. I'm going to choose H for hour. Okay, so we're multiplying because every hour it's going to get 3 bigger. What time will the temperature be 34 degrees? Go ahead and circle that. What do you think I should do with that? I'm not going to subtract it. Equals 34 because that's what it's going to equal at the end. Now we have a regular problem, but once again, where it says you must show an equation. This right here is the equation I'm talking about. You've got to show me you understand how to come up with an equation in order to get this answer on your story problem. So here we go. What's not allowing that H to be alone?
25.
Add by 25 and... Nope. What does it mean, guys, when there is a number next to a letter? Multiply by 3. So what should I get rid of first? The add by 25 or the multiply by 3?
Add by 25.
Good job. If you remember how we talked about it, these guys stay together as long as possible. How do I get rid of the 25? Subtract 25 from both sides. What is 34 minus 25? 9. Am I done? No. What's not allowing the H to be alone?
3.
What about the 3? Multiply by 3. How do I get rid of multiply by 3? Divide by 3 on both sides. 3 divided by 3, you're left with plain old H. What is 9 divided by 3? 3. So is my answer 3? Thank you. It is not 3 for my answer. This means 3 hours later. Now, as I go back to my question, this is what it asks me. What time will the temperature be 34 degrees? The answer is not at 3 o'clock because we got a 3 right here. How do you figure out what time it would be if it was 3 hours later? Okay, we started off up here at 6 a.m. Okay, 3 hours later is what time? 9 a.m. So 9 a.m. is your answer. So just make sure tonight, study these sections right here, 4.1 to 4.3. Study these notes for your quiz tomorrow.